Hey folks, and welcome to a new video series on GitHub Copilot. I wanted to take you through some of the levels that I went through of aha moments while I was using GitHub Copilot that made me a more productive, more strong user of what it can do for me. So I wanted to take you through those different views that I had there, or epiphanies. And this is the first video of a series, so check out the other ones afterwards if you want to learn more. This first one is focusing on describing to Copilot what you want to achieve. So be very descriptive in I want to achieve this specific goal that I have with my code. And I got a pretty little example in here that says, hey, use comments, for example, while you're writing code. So either in your methods or outside of that. And define what you want to achieve and explain that a lot. Copilot really uses the context from where you are. It looks at your cursor and checks the location or the lines above the cursor and below the cursor, for example, as a big hint of these are the things that I want to achieve with this code. And from that, it can create the suggestions that you're building with that code. And the more information you give it there, the better descriptive it is, the better the, excuse me, the better the results of your comments the better the results of the suggestions that GitHub Copilot gives you will be as well. Let's quickly look at a demo of how that actually works. So let me switch over to my Visual Studio Code. I have a demo that we use in a lot of the trainings that we give. And you can see here that I have a list of planes and I can do certain things with that. This whole demo is modeled after the Wright brothers that did something with planes. Of course, that matches up to the Copilot theme. And we have a list of planes here. You can see from some of the descriptions that are there, the first successful heavier than air-powered aircraft, a refinement of the original flyer, the Wright Model A, the B, and then the R. And the bottom two ones are labeled as, hey, these were used for military purposes. And if I then start creating a new method in this one, so let's start doing that. We have REST API in here, so I can start adding, oops, not deleting, but adding extra things in here. Let's say I'm going to build an HTTP GET in here, and this is C#, but that doesn't really matter for this code. Let's say this is a call to longest range of those airplanes, and I want to get something out of that as well. I can let Copilot build a suggestion and it says, well, we're going to get something with the longest range. But in this case, my get verb, my get call isn't that descriptive, longest range. I can give it way more content of what I want to do. And you can do that outside of the method or inside of the method, for example. I didn't declare a method yet, so let's start by doing that outside of the method. And you can see this as writing your own documentation for the things that you want to achieve in here as well. Let's say I want to calculate the amount of planes that have a range longer than, let's say, 15 kilometers. Kilometers from that range of planes, from that list of planes, get the plane that was created first. And oh yeah, let's add another business rule in here saying only retrieve the list of planes that were not for military usage. So now I'm super prescriptive of this I want, this is the context, the information that I want to give Copilot of, this is what I want that method to do. But when I now trigger Copilot to create something for me, it says, okay, here's an action result of get longest planes. Let's just accept that so we can see what is in that method as well. It still matches the name of the method that I wanted to at least give it, of the routing that we have, and said, okay, we're doing planes with range or longer than 15 kilometers. It is hard coding that in here in this case. But you can see that it filters out the list of planes that are the required or the desired range. So, okay, let's order by them by the year that they were created. So it has an understanding of what we're trying to do there. And the takeaway from this demo is the more information you give Copilot, in the form of things like comments, method names, be very descriptive in what you want to achieve, the better the results that will be. And you can do this in any language. If this is JavaScript or HTML or Python scripting, things like that, be very descriptive with the comments that you have. I usually see that already as documenting my own code anyway, and say what you want to achieve there. And then continue to work with that as well. I could, for example, drop this entire method again. Say, okay, we're back at square one where we started. And I can say, for example, the range is an input variable. Parameter, it also works. I can even say that's another business rule. So I could say I need to have that on a new line. And instead of having that hard-coded 15-kilometer range in here, it should now propose a method to me that says, hey, the input parameter is a range. And you can see that it's already doing that as well. So I can accept this again. I get another implementation. It's different from what we just had before. All the large language models are non-deterministic. It gives a different result every time. And now you can see that it says, okay, instead of having hard-coded 15 kilometers in here, it says, no, we're using that parameter. So search for the planes that have a range in kilometers larger than that. If it's 0, then okay, you immediately escape, say we didn't find anything. And then it says, okay, planes with long range, order by year. You can also see that the last suggestion that I gave, only retrieve the list of planes that were not for military use, was not implemented. So I can iterate on this. Let's say I want to add that as well. I need to filter that in here in the list of planes that have a range longer than 15 kilometers. Let's trigger Copilot again, and it says, okay, we're doing something. And it even picked up of saying the plane's description contains military. And if it does, we don't calculate that in here as well. So you can see that the more information you give Copilot, and maybe add some documentation for yourself of this is what I want to achieve into the code as well. And you're using that, you get better and better and better code suggestions back from GitHub Copilot. That was my first epiphany while I was using GitHub Copilot, of more information into the suggestions, or into the prompt, I should say, the things that you want to achieve. Copilot's working while you're typing. The more information you get into that, I like to use comments for that to figure out for myself what are the steps that I'm actually going through. So if I need to write a for loop, I start describing that in comments as well. And the more verbosity that you can give it there in natural language, say this is what I want to achieve, the better the suggestions from Copilot will be as well. So that was my first epiphany that I had for myself. I hope to see you in the rest of the videos as well, and to figure out what the other steps were that I went through in becoming a better Copilot user. See you there.